Welcome back. We are 5 episodes deep already, which is kind of crazy. Staying consistent always feels good. You know what I'm saying? The first step, it feels all right. You be like, okay, it's the beginning. Everybody takes the first step, right? But when you start taking your consistent steps going up until the fifth, sixth, seventh step, it feels a little nice. It's a little confidence boost, a little motivating factor. You know what I mean? And I'm feeling good with the momentum that we've got. Shout out to everybody that's been pulling up. I appreciate you guys, whether you guys have been on the Twitch streams, watching them live while we're recording, or if you guys are watching on Spotify. We're getting views on Spotify now, as well as people are watching on YouTube. People are commenting and liking on YouTube. So all of you guys that have been showing love, I wanted to say before I go with the crazy deep intro and start talking, I wanted to start this off by saying thank you. Your guys' responsiveness, your guys' just open arms, just accepting what we're talking about, appreciating it, and not being afraid to share your thoughts means the world, and that keeps us going. I didn't want to wait to say that at the end. I wanted to make sure in the beginning I give you guys my gratitude. I notice it. I see who's watching. I see all these things that's going on, and I want to tell you guys thank you so much. We've been talking about a bunch of stuff for mental health. Basically, we're just trying to do this first season back. We are just trying to get you to kind of get out of your rut and get back into a more productive state of mind, right? And last week, we had a good friend of mine, Jimmy Dukes Media, come up and we did a little kind of interview style, catch up powwow podcast episode. But the importance of that was two things. It was giving a prime example of somebody that is utilizing all of these steps that we've been talking about into successfully, pushing forward with their brand. But it's also to kind of explain the power of association. Now, the power of association has kind of two forms, right? One is the people you associate with, right? And that we talked about more in depth with my boy Jimmy, kind of showing about, giving your flowers to people and supporting one another in your endeavors whenever you're doing good or they're doing good. But in this episode, we're going to be talking about what you associate and how you associate with things pertaining solo to yourself. So that's going to be this episode, is the power of association part 2. Now, many people might be like, wait, what the hell is he talking about? What you associate and how you associate. But it's another term for it to kind of make it seem a little bit more understanding is conditioning, mental conditioning, right? And I've got these tips and tricks from this book. I'm telling y'all this because two things. I want you to read it. And if this person ever sees it, I want them to realize that this book had an impact on me. And I'm grateful that I picked this up. But it's called The Power of Discipline. It's by Daniel Walter. I shout out at every single episode that I'm reading this book. If I'm getting tips from this, I'm grabbing this book. So we're pretty much on the tail end of it. We're almost done. You know what I'm saying? And I've been reading about the power of association, and everything that we've been talking about has had a really deep meaning in terms of just steps, tips, and tricks on just how to reprogram and reformat your mind into a more stable state, right? And I feel like the way that we've been explaining all of these steps have been really like, I feel like they play a part. Like it's very linear, right? You can't really get to these steps without completing the first ones that we've discussed, right? Every step has kind of been influential into starting to get to the next step, right? So association is something that you had to condition yourself with, right? It goes with both people and it goes with things and situations, right? I'm gonna give some key points that I read from the book and then kind of reword them into my own way. But basically, the power of association shows the mind is the mind is a muscle, and it can be conditioned into anything you want it to be when it comes to who you associate with, how you associate with people, and then what you associate with yourself with, and how you would let it affect you, right? So when it comes to people, kind of branching into the first piece of it that we discussed a little bit before, is that phrase, you are what you eat. Well, it's also you are who you meet, right? So the people that you interact with and the people that you hang out with, all of these people influence you in some form of fashion. You know what I'm saying? So And then the people that you choose to consistently hang around, or the people that you choose to kind of mingle with, that kind of like flock with you, there's usually a similarity that causes like some type of an attraction, whether it's friends, whatever it may be. But you guys have some type of trait that feeds off of each other, and that's your association. That's your hook and anchor, right? And then after that, the way you guys interact with each other, how often, how long, all these different things kind of determine the strength of the influential factor on your mental, right? So if you associate yourself with a lot of people and you notice that you're around a lot of people that are like down in the dumps, unmotivated, or just in a very negative mindset, whatever the negativity may be, and you catching that it's just the things you guys talk about is just always complaining about stuff. It's not that much uplifting or motivating. And or they just, it's just a constant like, this sucks, that sucks, this is bad, that's bad. When all that keeps happening, it will take a toll on you, and you'll end up catching yourself doing it too. Excuse me. So the same goes for a positive mindset on somebody, that if you surround yourself with people that are go-getters, or people that are just, kind of in, they're just taking strides and they're just doing their thing, and things are happening, but they're staying positive about it. The verbiage that they're using, all the terminology, everything is more uplifting, positive, and motivational. You'll see yourself get inspired in these things, right? So what I like to tell everybody is like, you got to find a balance in these people, and know how everybody's going to serve your mental, right? I'd say everybody serves a season, and some seasons are longer than others, right? You have to decide how long you want that season to affect your mental, because it's not just going to be like, oh, that's just my friend. You get something from everybody. I've seen people hang out with people from a different cultural background. They adopt cultural things from them. I've seen people change the way they talk, the way they walk, the way they act, the way they dress, just because of the people that are around them. That's like you seeing people that live in one area and they live a certain type of way, and then they go to a whole nother area for a long time, and they start to lose those things that made them so prominent in their original culture, because they're desensitizing themselves, right? They're just kind of conforming to what's going on around them. We're adaptive people. You know what I'm saying? That's just how humans evolve, right? We adapt to our environment, we adapt to our surroundings. And if you choose the the people that you choose to have around, you will adapt to that state of mind. So I feel like I can't really tell you what to do, because it's like I could be like easy, like, hey yo, so you got that homie that's just crying about everything, yo, chuck him up, he ain't good for your mental. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, that's why it's who you have and how, right? That's the who and the how, or the what and the how, when it comes to other things, the situations versus people. And how is, how do you feed that interaction yourself, right? So if you have somebody that's like, on a negative mindset, but you're constantly feeding positivity into them, eventually it could turn into something where maybe you might influence them to be more positive, or it may feel draining, like, oh my god, dude, I'm just constantly doing this and constantly doing that, you're not doing nothing. Or like, it's every time I need you to do something for me, you're letting me down. Or every time I'm trying to talk with you about good things, you just always down in the dumps, whatever it may. And sometimes that could be draining, but that also goes on your foundation. That goes on the last few steps we've been talking about, and how that helps you is, that's why you need a solid foundation, so things don't get so draining. That's why you need to have confidence in yourself and your mental state, so that when other situations and other obstacles come, you can clear those without feeling the weight and the pressure and the just the fatigue. You know what I'm saying? So um it goes the same way with people that are positive. You know what I'm saying? If you're in a negative mindset and you're surrounding yourself with other people, yeah, they can help influence you to be positive. Or if you're not on a solid foundation that's positive, you can end up kind of shifting their boats as well. You know what I'm saying? Energy is a very powerful thing, and energy is kind of what controls and powers our mental health. So that was what we were kind of talking about with why I brought Jimmy on last week. A big influence on that is showing, somebody that's around you that's in a positive mind state. That's, he doesn't have everything perfect the way he wants it. We were talking about a lot of stuff. We were very vulnerable in our conversation. You guys definitely need to go watch it if you guys haven't. But We talked about a lot of things, but at the end of the day, we talked about the things that made us feel like, oh, this is one of my obstacles. This is one of my obstacles. But no, we talked about either how we cleared them, or he talked about how he plans to. And that is something that you always want to pay attention. If you can't have a deep conversation with a homie, that's not a homie. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference between a friend and acquaintance. You know what I'm saying? You have an acquaintance that you meet up with every now and then, and they're surface level homies, right? You want to surround yourself with a handful of deep homies that, you know, when you got to talk about deep stuff, whether it be positive things or you got to share the mental stuff to let it out that's negative, those people are there, right? Because you need someone that's transparent. You need someone that's real. You need someone that's open and honest with you to kind of give you it straight. Sometimes it's going to be a hard pill to swallow, but you know it's coming from a heart of love, right? And the only way for you to really trust that is to build that bond. You had to build that association with somebody. Because sometimes, you know, we can't run this race all on our own sometimes. There's certain obstacles where we kind of need a boost. There's certain times where it's a race where we're picking each other up and we need to help each other out, you know. And you want to make sure that when you're on your journey, your tools, which are also your peers, are reliable. You want reliability, right? um and that was kind of one of the things we were discussing last week too, is just showing, like, you know, when you put all these things into play, people see it. Just like I see my boy Jimmy doing his thing, so I'm like, yo, I see you, dog. You killing it, bro. You're doing this, you're doing this, you're changing this, you're changing that. It's constant movement, constant adjustments. It may not seem like everything is a successful move to everybody on the outside, but you have no idea what worked and what didn't, right? Because why? He stayed moving, you stay positive, and you stay grounded, and you keep your foundation solid. That also goes with how you associate yourself with situations, which this was extremely interesting to me, because at first I had to read it like a few times, not because I didn't fully understand it, but because I was like, I never really thought about that. Right. So the power of association and conditioning can go into people and it can go into things. And the topic of this one is focusing on, you know, your environmental association and mental, you know, and I call it what I call a damage control conditioning. Right. So as we all know, living this life that we live, not everything is going to be easy. Not everything is meant to be. And things aren't going to go the way we want. Right. And sometimes it's in a pretty nice and even mood that you're like, yo, son, I tried it. And sometimes you're like, no, I need this to work. Like, this can't, like, whatever, boom, boom, boom. Right. Everything is a different situation. But the thing is, handling like damage control is a reactive state. But the thing is, damage control is something that you had to kind of precondition to get to it, right? There's something that you do before it. But damage control basically is you being able to understand that just sometimes things aren't going to go the way we want, and you had to be able to accept it. And the first thing you need to go when something doesn't go the way that you want it to is, what could I have done different, and what did I learn from this? That has to be your first reaction to these things. Okay, that did not work. What do we do wrong? Okay, what could I have done differently so that this doesn't happen again if I try it again? Or, okay, so that didn't work out. I need a different outcome. The next one may not be right either, but I don't want this outcome to happen again. What did I learn from this? Keeping yourself grounded and humble is always realizing that every situation is a learning experience. And that will keep you humble and that will keep you open minded, is realizing, yeah, that didn't work and I'm aware. But if I freak out about it, that's not going to help me. If I break down about it, that's not going to help me. I need to figure out what I did wrong and how can I fix it. Or if this is unfixable, I got to try it again later. What happened to make this happen that I can make sure I prevent next time, right? That is extremely hard to do when you're already in fight or flight mode, you're already in survival mode, when you're already at a lower and weaker mental state, right? That's where the conditioning comes in, right? You had to prepare yourself from this. So you had to make sure you do this with everything, even the small things, right? Every time something happens, it could be something as stupid as like, oh man, I cooked the eggs, but I didn't do this the right way. What is that? Okay, what could I have done differently? You have to keep saying that for every little thing, dude. Every little thing. Why? Because that's going to keep you in that mental state of conditioning of your reactiveness to mishaps. So then when things get a little bit bigger, you're always going to feel a little bit of that anxiety, a little bit of that panic. But the more you keep conditioning to yourself to look, not everything's going to happen the way I want, but what could I have done differently? How can I change it for next time? It'll keep you grounded. You might still be a little panicky, a little anxious, a little depending on how severe it is, but at the end of the day, you're still gonna calm yourself down, right? But there's another thing too, that this is what I liked a lot, was a lot of people have their association with seeing things through. This is huge, right? I was like, wait, what does he mean? So basically, it's a concept of, we all have dreams, we all have goals, we all have aspirations of what we want to be, what we want to do, and what we want to happen, right? But the task, the task can be tedious, and we don't want to deal with it. So we put it off, procrastinate, we don't do what we're supposed to do, yada yada yada. Fill in the blank, right? So the end game is, you either don't do it, or you put it off so long you lose interest. The best thing you can do is condition yourself to be able to enjoy the tedious tasks that you don't want to do. And I was like, let's say prime example. Let's say you want to go work on a project, something that you know, this step of the project, you know, you don't like doing. They were like, you got to think about things that you can enjoy that can help keep you in a positive state of mind when you're doing this. So they were like, something like your favorite snack, your favorite drink, your favorite music. You prepare that every single time you're about to do that task. Every single time. And it's like, why? Because eventually you're going to associate that your favorite snack with, oh, it's time to get some shit done, right? Or your favorite drink with, okay, it's time to lock in and get this done. Or you listen to your favorite music because I got to get this work done, but you have something that you look forward to every time you do the task, to the point where now you're looking forward to this. So when it comes to people working out, why do you think a lot of people work out and they pick specific songs when they work out? Because they know that they're like, yo, I got this track, I got that track. When I hear this music, I'm pumped, right? Or some people, when they're working on stuff, they got brain fuel where they drink their coffee with it. Or I already know when it's edit time, I got to make sure I got my coffee. I got to make sure I got myself a little snack. I got to make sure I got this, and that. Why? Because I know I'm going to be sitting here for a little while banging this shit out. So I want to make sure I got everything, right? If you guys notice, we are creatures of habit. And you may not realize, but try to be a little bit more aware to your surroundings whenever you're doing stuff you like. What is it that you like when you go to do something and you're like, I can't wait? It's not, oh, because I'm about to go play the game. What do you do before you play the game? Some people like to grab their favorite snack. Some people like to grab this. Some people like to sit in a specific chair. They got a gaming chair, not just a chair. Oh, this is the chair I would sit in when I'm gaming. That's conditioning. So there's certain things that we do that we've conditioned and didn't even realize because it's something you already enjoy. But when you can tie that into something you are not a fan of at all, you will notice that the anxiety and the pressure slowly fades away because you're implementing things that you enjoy with things that you don't necessarily enjoy, right? So that's how you turn a tedious task into, a bearable task, into a task that you're not really afraid of doing anymore. Like let's just say for argument's sake, which is not true, I love editing. But let's just say for argument's sake, I don't like editing, right? I'm like, I don't want to do it because it's this, that, and the third or whatever. So I'm like, what do I do? Okay, well, what do I like doing when I'm down here? When I'm streaming and I'm doing all the stuff sitting in the same chair, what do I like doing? Yo, I always like my Waterloos, my little seltzer waters, you know what I'm saying? I get my coffee, I like a little whatever, something. I sit down, I do that. I keep my book by me. I have everything that I want around me, near me, right? So that while I'm doing it, if I feel the pressure, I feel the tension, I need a drink. I'm good. I already know that's good. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why I don't really like to drink my drinks anywhere else besides when I'm down here because I look forward to having my drink. So, like, I drink them sometimes at dinner, but now I'm conditioning myself to no, I'm gonna only drink these down here when I'm getting shit done, when I'm working, when I'm doing stuff. If I'm streaming and I want to make sure my stuff is top notch, I want to make sure I got my equipment here that I need to have. I want to make sure I got my drinks. I got to make sure I got my snack. I got what I need when I need it, right? Same thing goes for when I'm editing. Okay, I need to make sure I'm not just down here doing stuff because then I'm gonna have to get up to get a drink and then I'm gonna procrastinate. I'm gonna have to get up and do this, right? So you want to make sure you put yourself in a place where you are happily comfortable doing that task or doing whatever it is that you will easily walk away from if any distraction occurs, right? Um, and it's saying doing that constantly will help you be able to handle certain tasks to the point where eventually you don't even need those things to hold you down anymore because now you almost enjoy it, right? You could be like, oh man, I don't like doing this, but you keep doing it, you keep doing it, you keep doing it. So then it's gonna, let's say for me, it's a physical thing that I need. Let's say in order for me to stream, I need to have my water, my drink, right? Let's say that day I don't have that drink, but I gotta get the edit done. I'd be like, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. I got this. I don't need that. I gotta bang this out. Now all of a sudden you're less afraid of that task because you familiarize yourself with it so much by implementing things you enjoy to the point where it's not as bad as you thought it was. And it's a lot of things that we don't do that with. Sometimes you do that consciously. It's like when you got to go into that room by yourself and you're afraid of the dark. You're not just when you're a kid, you're not just afraid of the dark, you're afraid of being alone. But turning on that light helps. So eventually when you're not afraid of the dark anymore, next thing you know you're running in there with no light on. You had to condition yourself to not be alone, to not be afraid of being alone first. Because then once you were fine with being alone, the dark wasn't as scary. It's the same thing with all these tasks. It's the same thing with that next step you had to take with your job or that next, you know what I'm saying, that risk you got to take to get into that next step, you know what I'm saying, to build yourself up or that next expense or the next, anything for your business or you want to, take your relationship to the next level. Like let's say you're dating but you want to ask the question, you know what I'm saying, but you're doing this and like all these things will condition yourself to I'm ready for that next step. I'm ready to take it to the next level. I'm ready to turn it up a notch. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't scare me as much. It doesn't deter me away as much because I'm prepared. And that's kind of the whole purpose of association is you had to learn to prepare yourself with things to know that just because this isn't easy doesn't mean it's not fun and doesn't mean it's not amazing. And once you can condition yourself to understand that some of the best things in life come through some of the hardest struggles, it's easy to say that but it's not as easy to go through it. But if you keep saying it, it's manifestation. You're manifesting a positive mindset into something that may not feel that positive to you. Having to have that conversation with somebody that you don't want to have, something those uncomfortable conversations. And there's a million. I could list off so many different types of conversations, but you know what I mean. There's so many different ones, but being able to step out of your comfort zone, that's the whole purpose is stepping out of your comfort zone. Like people don't realize that phrase is literal too. You stepping out means what you're about to do is not your normal, is not your everyday, and is uncomfortable, and you're not gonna like it at first. But the moment you get accustomed to it and you get used to it and you realize it's not as bad, all you've done is just expanded your comfort zone. Just because you step out of your comfort zone doesn't mean that one, you'll never get back into it, and two, doesn't mean that you can't make it bigger. We like our comfort zone. That's what we just kind of just that's your happy place. Wouldn't you like your happy place to be humongous? That doesn't matter where you go, you're in your happy place. That's how you step out of your comfort zone and you just expand your land. That's it. You just grow your zone out. The only way to grow it out though is to adventure out there and make it comfortable. You know what I'm saying? That's like prime example is you got to treat your obstacles and you got to treat your life like your first apartment. We got our first apartment. Everybody wanted to get their first apartment when we grew up, right? Ah, I can't wait to live on my own. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My parents are this, or I just can't wait to have it because I would just love to have my own space. Whatever excuse you have, you wanted your own space, right? You went over there, you went to see it. It looked beautiful. The bells and whistles was on there. Everybody knows we go to open houses at houses and apartments, and you get to go see it. It's all fully furnished. It's designed by interior designer. They look so nice. It's got this. It's got these colors that pop. It's got the artwork that don't make no fucking sense, but you love it for some reason because you feel fancy in it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's dope, right? You like that shit. You like, man, this is gas. It's gonna be my spot. If that's your goal, that's your dream. That's where you want to be. But then now you're like, all right, step one. You got to walk into that empty apartment. That's you. You got to go find that couch now. You got to go find that bed. You got to go find those sheets. You got to find that painting that made no sense. You didn't even know what the fuck it was. All you knew was in that moment it was beautiful because everything was perfect in your dream destination. But now you have to go in there and furnish it and make it your own. And you know that you're not going to put everything you saw in there because that's not you. But it was beautiful. That's your life. That's your goal. That's your vision. You have to learn that your vision, it may be perfect at that moment, but the longer you live in it, just like the longer you live in your apartment, the longer you're going to realize, I don't really like this anymore. I don't really like that anymore. I got to change this. I got to change that. Or this looks good, but this will look better. The next thing you know, you have a beautiful apartment. People come over to your apartment and they're like, yo, this shit is gas, bro. You be like, yeah, that's mine. I designed it myself. I did this myself. I made this. I went and picked it out myself. And it feels good because now other people are seeing your progress. It's the same thing as life. Your life is your apartment. Your life is your living space. And you have to figure out, how am I going to reach my desired goal? We all have a dream house. We all have a dream everything, right? But not everything is exactly what we dream of. And some people are still happy. I have dream houses. I have all this stuff that I wish I could have, right? But I'm happy where I'm at with certain things. Why? Because that's figurative. Nothing is perfect. No dream is perfect. So for me to walk into a spot that seems visibly perfect to the eye, you have no idea how hard that interior decorator worked to make that look like that. You have no idea how many times that person has decorated those houses and those homes to look as immaculate as they do. You have no idea how many times those people had to move shit around because they didn't fit or they didn't look right to get it right. You have no idea how much work was put into that masterpiece, but all you know is you want that. But yeah, you don't know what was put into it to make it a masterpiece in the first place. So then what do? Now you have an empty canvas. This is your life. How are you going to fill that canvas? How are you going to fill that space? Sometimes there's things that you want that are out of your hand, whether it's you can't afford it, it's out of stock, you don't know how to make it, you don't know how to do it. What are you going to do? Quit and have no bed? Quit and have no couch? Sleep on the floor? No, you got to figure out now how to put in that work to get every little thing you want in your home. That's how you got to treat your life. The nicer you want shit, the harder you have to work. So you got to look at it like, if I don't complete this one task that I keep putting off, that's just holding me back from all the things that I dream about. And that's something you have to condition yourself to. So I like to ask you guys a question. What is it that you guys are dreaming about? And what are you afraid to do that's stopping you from getting to that dream? When are you going to stop and just do it? It's so easy to have a dream. Everybody in this world has a dream. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants this. Everybody wants that. Half of us just want what each other has. That's the crazy shit. We live in a world where everybody wants what everybody else has, but nobody wants to do the work that that person did to get what they have. Some of the things that we have are completely attainable, but yet people don't want to put in the work that that guy did, but they just want to hate on that motherfucker for doing it when you could have had the same thing and all you had to do was put in that work. But you would rather sit in the shadows and hate on a motherfucker that did the work. That's like, how does that make sense? And this is where that self-evaluation comes in. Realize that, yo, it's not that the obstacle was too hard. It's that I'm not putting in the work for what I want. I'm not, and this is coming from a dude that doesn't have everything that he wants. I'm still putting in the work for everything that I want and need. And I'm telling y'all, that shit never ends, bro. It never ends. But thing is, it's the way you associate yourself with it. It's who you surround yourself with. Are you surrounding yourself with other people that are chasing those things? Or are you surrounding yourself with people that don't really care? They're just kind of coasting. And then now you find yourself coasting. And at the same time, it's, what situations are you putting yourself in? Are you putting yourself in positions to win and succeed? Or are you putting yourself into positions to suffer and fail and fall? You know what I'm saying? And when the obstacle comes, are you going at it fully conditioned? That's like trying to run, that's trying to join the, let's it's like you going to join the Olympics right now and you didn't train a day in your fucking life. You're gonna pass out before it starts. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna pass out in the warm-ups. That's like trying to go and just trying like you have to go win a gold medal in the Olympics, but yeah, you've never trained for that sport. You're not gonna get the gold medal. They'd be like, oh, this person got the gold medal. Oh yeah, they're just, it's just skill. But yeah, you don't realize how many times that person went and practiced. You have no idea how many times that person went. And when you were sleeping, they were up conditioning. While you were like, just messing around, they were out there getting that work in. It's not a situation of everybody, like of dreams unattainable. It's how much work are you willing to put in to get to that point? Because that's what all this stuff really goes down into is you got to work it out. Sometimes you have connections, sometimes it's people sometimes yada yada yada, but you can always lose what you had. And I love the phrase, you never know what you got till it's gone. You never realize how many times people handed you shit. You never realize how many times people have blessed you, how many times people have done things for you to make your life easier because they either believe in you or they just want to help you. You take it for granted to the point where that doesn't happen anymore, and you see things crumble because you realize I couldn't do this myself because this person always helped me. Or this situation I took for granted because this situation put me in a position to win, but I was too busy messing around, and now I just kind of that I let that ship sail. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many different things that can come into play. And when you don't condition yourself daily for these things and with every situation, with every obstacle, with every interaction, if you don't constantly like what is it? Consistently condition yourself, you're gonna get caught lacking, and then things aren't gonna go into the way you want it to. And then that's when the frustration comes in because now you had to be accountable on the fact that you weren't consistent, and that's really hard to do. How many people you see out here in the world that be like, yeah, man, I've kind of fell off, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. The ones that say that are the ones that are successful a year later because they held themselves accountable, realized, yeah, I didn't put in the work I was supposed to put in. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I gotta lock the fuck in. I gotta get it done. They'll be the champions that were like, I didn't take this fight seriously. And yeah, it cost me it cost me a chip. It cost me the belt. But guess I'm getting that belt back. And then they go into that gym and they work hard as hell. Next thing you know, they go out and knock that person out. Now they got their belt back. You know what I'm saying? That's like people going anything. You know what I'm saying? Like the all these sports, there's only one winner at the end. There's only either one winner or there's one person is the winner. There's only one champion, whether it be a team or a person. At the end of the year, at the end of the season, there's only one champion. So what are all those other people doing? They going home crying about it, blaming everybody else for why they lost? Those are the ones that have no championships. The ones that do are the ones that are like, all right, I didn't give it my all. I clearly wasn't that hungry. I'll be hungry next year. And then they're the ones you see that come back with a championship. They're the upsets. They're the underdogs that win it. You see what I'm saying? It kind of goes in like that. It's not how many times you win. It's how many times you get up after you lose. How many times do you win after you lose? Because you can win, but like winning doesn't hold that much shit if all you do is win all the time. It doesn't hold the same weight. Winning means so much more when you lose. Means so much more when you see that you fail, when you see that you fell short. Once you finally achieve it, you cross that finish line. It feels 10 times better when you know that other people have done it before you, and then now you're the one that's first. That's a huge feeling. But what's even better is when you know you put that fucking work in and you realize that all this work wasn't for nothing. And the only way to do that is to stay consistent. Condition yourself and watch who you associate with, whether it be people or whether it be situations. Watch the way you handle it. That book was giving me a prime example of two things. There was one example of a scientific experiment where they had dogs and this person was walking in feeding the dogs. Right? They'll go in, they feed the dogs, dogs smell the food, they get hungry, they salivate a little bit. Then they were like noticing their patterns and noticing certain things and realizing that eventually when that person's specific footsteps, he had specific shoes on, right? So when they heard his footsteps, after a while they knew food was coming. So what do? They start salivating now when they hear the footsteps. Not when he's in the room anymore. Before he even enters the room, when they hear the footsteps outside, they start salivating, right? So now they're conditioned to know once they know when I hear that footstep, I know it's time to eat, right? Same thing goes, and then they said that then they started ringing a bell. Once they ring a bell, right when they rang the bell, they fed them. So then they were like, okay, so after a while they understood, then all of a sudden they're conditioned to know when I hear this bell, it's time to eat. So they would ring the bell, no food, but they would still salivate. The food's not there, but the conditioning is. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like how we need to train our minds too. Is you got to realize these tasks, they're just a means to an end. They're going to get you where you need to be. You just need to do it. You had to figure out what do you want to do to make it more enjoyable. You had to figure out how to motivate yourself in that. And that's where all these other previous steps have kind of put us into play is counting your victories, you know what I'm saying? And all these different things that we put in there, all the different episodes that we put into place help you condition yourself for this, with the staying consistent, you know what I'm saying, counting your victories and loving what you do and associating with the right people, as well as, you know, evaluating yourself and going from a loser mindset to a winner's mindset. Um, all these things they all have a piece in the puzzle of consistency. They work together because it's all fuel for your consistent, you know, motivation. And once you have that and you work on these different ways on how to do things, you're going to see a humongous shift and change, not only in your productiveness, but just the way you carry yourself, the way you the way you interact with others, the way you handle situations, the way, you know what I'm saying? Like it will make a huge change in your life. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're aware of how you react to things. You're aware of your surroundings and what you're allowing into your space. You know, when the people be like, I don't got time for that drama. Like, I see that shit happen, I go the other way. Or, you know, I could be pissed off, but I take a deep breath and I move on because I don't want to get pissed off and just ruin the whole my zen that I'm in right now. And that's the protecting your peace. Your mental is your peace. You got to protect that too. How do you protect it? How do you protect your success? By consistently moving forward, by consistently staying open minded, humble, and hungry. But now the choice is yours. You know what I'm saying? Are you going to keep shying away from those projects? Are you going to keep shying away from that question or that risk, that jump, that leap of faith? Or are you going to prepare yourself to do it and take a little snack on the way, whether it be a mental snack, physical snack, whatever it may be? So I like to ask you guys, man, you have tests, you have tasks, and you have things that you guys don't like to do, right? I want you guys to write this down. Write down 3 tasks you don't like that you know you need to get done every single time that you don't do it. Write down 3 things that you love to do. Not just activities, but little things. 3 things that you realize, I love this. Your favorite songs, your favorite snacks, favorite drinks, whatever the fuck it may be. Because it was also something about rewardings. You could be like, this is what I do now. Because I got shows I want to watch, or I got a game I want to play, or I got this I want to do, I got that I want to do. I'm not doing that until I complete this task, and I'm rewarding myself with my favorite TV show. I'm going to reward myself with, before I go and play this video game, I'm going to make sure I get this done. Before I go do this, before I go do that, before I get on my phone at all, I'm going to complete this task. You see what I mean? You can always use that too. It can either be something that's an active motivator for you or a reward for a job well done. I think it should be both. You should have something that you're enjoying in that moment to kind of keep that shit going, and then have something where you're like, "Oh, I'm done. I can't wait to finish this because I know the new episode of blah 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 is coming out and I want to watch that, but I got to get this done, so I'm gonna finish it." Or, man, my book is getting so good, I want to read it, so I got to make sure I get this done so I can read my book. If I don't get this done, I'm not reading that book. I want to read that book, so I'm getting this done. Or, man, this new game came out, I want to play it. Or, hey, man, I want to go to the gym, I want to go drink with the homies, or I want to go play, I want to go, you know, play pool, or go play, or go poker night, but I got to get this shit done. Get it done. And then go reward yourself and be like, and then tell yourself, man, I'm going to play because I got shit done. I finished what I was supposed to do. I tackled that project. I kicked this ass. Now I'm going to go watch this show and enjoy myself. You got to condition yourself for the task, and you have to condition yourself to celebrate your success, because all that's going to do is motivate you. That's kind of like the brick by brick, count your wins. You had to condition yourself to succeed. Because then once you condition yourself to succeed and you consistently make sure you celebrate your victories, you're going to constantly put yourself in a position of gratitude and happiness. And that's how you keep a positive mindset through all these crazy moments, obstacles, trials, and tribulations that you're facing. So, for all that said and done, man, it's just a matter of being consistent and just, knowing what you want, visualizing it, and then knowing all the things that you like and figuring it out. It's like a puzzle piece. You got to figure out where these things that you like can fit into your stuff. It's having a puzzle and you got one piece missing and you got to find that piece. That piece probably is a little motivating factor that keeps you going and you never realized it. My goal for you guys is everything I'm telling you guys, I tell myself because I'm working on myself as well. I'm always working on myself. I'm always doing these things and trying to figure these things out. And I'm frustrated some days, and I'm not. I'm a human being talking to fellow humans. I'm not some philosopher. I'm not some therapist. I don't have a doctorate in mental health. I am a human being that has problems just like you guys. I'm a human being that pushes through his problems like you guys. And I'm a human being that just wants to live the best life he can live. Right? So everything I'm telling you guys is not this is how you guys should live your life. It's, yo, let's do this shit together. This is what I've learned. Maybe you can learn something from it too. And all of your comments, everything that you guys say in the videos that we post, every time you guys comment on Spotify, every time you guys comment on YouTube or Facebook or anything, I see it. I see it. And sometimes people share experiences. Last week we had somebody come in and they shared, man, no, not last week, 2 weeks ago, somebody came in and they were like, dude, I needed to hear this. And I'm not going to name the person because I don't know if they want me to put their name out there, but they came in and they came into the after, because if you guys don't know, we record these every single Monday on Twitch at 8 p.m. EST. It's a live recording and I do a live recording of our podcast. And then what I like to do is at the end of it, I talk with the chat. Whoever's watching, whoever's listening, they can give feedback on whether they, what they liked about the episode, or maybe something they didn't like, or just their thoughts on everything that we discussed, or like the little projects I've given them. Maybe they come back and say, hey, I've done this, hey, I've done that. But it's kind of like a little, like a behind the scenes little Q&A, kind of turns it into like a little mini talk show at the end. And it's really fun. But the thing is, somebody came in 2 weeks ago and shared a lot of their things in life that they wanted to do. They want to get back into music. They want to get back into this. And one simple episode is motivating somebody else to get back into what they needed to do. And that's an example of positive power of association. Is if I didn't go live, I'm not putting it on me like, oh, I did something great. What I'm saying is I'm trying to stay consistent with myself and I was able to help somebody else in that process. So I'm helping myself and helping another person. That's something that you guys got to realize. That was never a plan. I never targeted anybody in that one to make sure, hey, I want to motivate this guy right here. It's a situation of you don't know who you're going to motivate. You don't know who you're going to help. You don't know who you're going to hurt. That's why you always got to be very mindful of everything that you say and you do in this world, because there could be a lot of positive that comes from your actions and your words, and it could be a lot of negative that comes from it. So it's always a fun it's a fun thing to be on your grind, stay transparent with a bunch of people that you trust, because you never know the response you're going to get, the people you can motivate and the people that can motivate you in the process. And that's what I love about this community, the temple that we've created, is we all help each other. When I may be down, my people got my back. When they may be down, I got their back. And that is association. They coming in and you talking about stuff that's going on in your life and letting it out, and then we laugh and joke around about it. Next thing you know, you're like, all right, I feel better. I'm gonna get back into it. Coming in on your break and all this stuff. That's you dealing with a situation. That's your association. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to make light of a situation that's bad. That's how you associate with it. You know what I'm saying? It may seem trivial when I talk about it. It may seem corny. It may seem like the fortune cookie rah rah shit. But in all reality, man, this stuff really holds weight if you really have an open mind to it. You know what I'm saying? And it had a really good effect on my thought process for some things. And I like this chapter that I read, and I was like, I couldn't wait. I was actually gonna talk about this last week, and then I was gonna talk. Ooh, what? I was I was gonna talk about this last week, but then I was gonna talk, and I was gonna talk with Jimmy this week, but we kind of flipped it. But I still liked it. I've been waiting to talk about this because I really liked the whole situation. Sometimes it's not your situation; it's how you react to it. And it's kind of like one of the things that I've been talking about with my people when I do my outros. I say, stay blessed, don't be stressed, get some rest. I say, protect your peace, mind your mental, and you can't control what happens in the world out there, but you can control how you operate in it. So be mindful of everything you say and you do. Live a life of no regrets. I say all that shit. They're like, damn, it's an outro, bro. Look, man, I gotta do what I gotta do. But at the end, everything I'm saying it for a reason because it's all a golden ticket on just having a stronger mental health. That's always been one of our things is mental health, because I suffer from bad mental health moments in my life. Everybody I know has suffered from a bad mental health moment in their life. And you know what is at such a high rate right now because a lot of people don't take care of their mental health or don't care about other people's mental health to realize how they're affecting it. That this is why I'm like, yo, we got to do better about this. We got to do better about this with ourselves and with other people, because you never know what somebody else is going through, and you never know if that hateful word that you said could be their last straw, or you never know if the kind words that you said could have saved their life because they were pretty much done with everything. So, with all this being said, your life is powerful and has meaning. What you're doing, you're here for a reason. If you are still breathing, there is a reason and there is a purpose. And you don't live your life wondering if you failed your purpose. Live your life to the fullest, man. Your purpose is there, and as long as you're here, you got a job to do. And sometimes the job is just live your best life and be happy, because you might just be motivating somebody else to do something great. You know what I'm saying? You might save so many more people than you realize, and some people may not even be able to tell you because they're ashamed that they were even that low in the first place. There's some people that will have no shame in telling you that you helped them in so many different avenues and ways, and you have no idea how many people are going to have your back, how many people are going to be there for you. That's why you have to be powerful, and you have to be powerful in the way you move mentally, right? And that's why you have to be mindful of the way you associate with people and situations. So I feel like this is a very, very important episode because this is how you treat other people. This is how you act in all these things and the way you associate can be seen. Who you associate yourself with, people will judge you just based off of who you're around. If you're around a bunch of people that may be seen as like whatever, let's say rowdy and rambunctious, they're gonna automatically assume that you are too. And if you're around a bunch of other people that are really successful or whatever it may be, they're gonna think you are too. If you're around a bunch of quiet people, they're gonna think you are too. If you're around a bunch of, you know, anything, think of any type of situation, they're gonna think you are too. You know what I'm saying? So association brings perception. Association feeds perception, because if who you're around and how you act around them, that's how you associate with them. These people are going to perceive who you are just based off of that. People that haven't gotten to know you deeper than the surface level. Same thing with the way situations happen. Sometimes, like, you have to deal with situations in public settings, and the way you react to certain things and the way you handle certain things, people are going to perceive who you are and automatically judge your character based off of the way you handle the situation. You know what I'm saying? And you had to be mindful of that. Now, it's not a situation of you had to put on a mask and make sure everybody perceives you perfectly, but if you're genuine and you're humble and you're grounded on who you are, the way people perceive you is exactly how you want them to perceive you. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to work on, I want them to see me as this guy. I'm this successful, awesome person. No, I am this. And I will always be this. And I will always make sure I'm the best I can be at me. And who you see, your perception of me is accurate to who I am on a daily. Who I am with these people, who I am in these situations is always me. And that's something I've always strived in my journey as a content creator from day one till now, is no matter what's going down, whether it's the good, the bad, the ups and downs, if I'm in a bad mood, I'm in a good mood, I am me, and nobody can take that from me, because I've never put up a facade or a front or a face that that I have to constantly associate with so that people can understand, oh, this is me. No, I am me. On my good days, on my bad days, on my drunk days, on my sober days, on my happy days, on my sad days. All of that is me. That's 100% me. And I do that on purpose because I don't ever want to be put in a position where someone thinks I'm acting out of character, because that's just not who I am. I don't want it to be a situation where perceptions are made of A, B, C, and D, and that's just not who I am. Not in the sense of like I care what people think, but in a matter of like I value how I operate. I value how I move. I value how I represent myself and my family. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure the way I do these things is what in general, um, transparent mind, you know what I'm saying? And I'm genuine with everything I do. And, I have morals and I have things that I abide by. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we all should have that in our life. You know what I'm saying? And all that kind of goes into this power of association that we're talking about. So, kind of want to end it with that. I think this is a great, great topic. I fucking love this. I loved reading it. I've been stewing on it for about 2 whole weeks. Like, I had new stuff, new things I was talking about, new like whatever. But I really like this, and I really hope you guys enjoy this. We're live every Monday doing this podcast stuff is always on Monday nights at 8 to 8:30 p.m. EST. I record it live with my community if you guys want to catch it. If you're watching this right now on YouTube or if you're listening on Spotify, we post our recordings of these every Monday in the morning, first thing in the morning around like 5:30 so EST, so that if you're going to work or you're on the East Coast, you're probably up getting ready for work, going to work. If not, you're on the West Coast, probably still sleeping when you wake up. Boom, it's there ready for you guys. Kind of a little bit of that Monday motivation to kind of get you a little mental health recharge to tackle those Mondays so that instead of it being a bad Monday, you can look forward to something every Monday to get you going. So this is another conditioning factor is hopefully you guys catch a little podcast in the morning on Mondays, get your Monday right. You know what I mean? That's the goal. We're going to try to make sure your Mondays is right. Because usually that's kind of the start of, that's a make or break for a lot of people. So, thank you guys so much for everything. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And yeah, we'll be back next week with some more stuff. I got some more juicy stuff I've been reading, and I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. Love you guys. Peace.